Good evening. Tonight, we are conducting a deep dive investigation into the meteoric rise and mysterious disappearance of a girl who once held the world in a state of collective shock. In 2018, a trembling 13-year-old from a modest background in northern England walked onto the stage of America's Got Talent and seemingly channeled the spirit of a rock and roll legend. The footage of that performance didn't just go viral, it became a cultural landmark, amassing hundreds of millions of views and earning her the coveted golden buzzer. But as the echoes of her final scream faded, the narrative began to shift. What followed was a complex web of industry secrets, contract disputes, and a radical personal transformation that left fans asking one question: what really happened once the cameras stopped rolling? Tonight, we peel back the layers of a story that involves more than just music. It involves a battle for an artist's soul in the age of instant fame. If you believe the shy schoolgirl who broke the internet was the whole story, our investigation suggests you've only seen the first act of a very different drama. Our investigative trail begins with the immediate aftermath of that historic audition. While the world was celebrating a discovery, digital forensics and eagle-eyed fans began to unearth a paper trail that challenged the amateur narrative presented by the network. It was revealed that Courtney Hadwin was not, in fact, a stranger to the spotlight. She had previously been a powerhouse finalist on The Voice Kids UK. This revelation ignited a firestorm of controversy, with allegations surfacing that Courtney was an industry plant, a seasoned professional coach to project a shy persona for emotional leverage over the audience. Critics argued that the contrast between her timid speaking voice and her explosive performance was a calculated piece of theater. However, sources close to the family suggest a more nuanced reality, that the young girl suffered from genuine social anxiety, and the transformation was a legitimate psychological release rather than a scripted gimmick. Regardless of the intent, the plant narrative created a permanent rift in her public image, forcing a young teenager to defend her authenticity before she had even released her first record. This was the first sign that the path to superstardom would be paved with skepticism rather than just praise. But the backlash over her past was nothing compared to the golden handcuffs that awaited her in the halls of the music industry's most powerful labels. Once the competition concluded, Courtney was ushered into the elite inner circle of the music industry, signing a high-stakes joint venture with Simon Cowell's Syco and Arista Records. On paper, it was the dream of a lifetime. In practice, it became a period of puzzling silence that our reports suggest was a struggle for creative autonomy. For nearly 4 years, the powerhouse vocalist was essentially a ghost in the mainstream media. Investigative insiders suggest that a fundamental disconnect emerged between the label's vision and Courtney's artistic identity. The corporate machine reportedly sought to mold her into a radio-friendly pop star, a move that would have stripped away the raw, jagged edges that made her famous in the first place. This led to a state known in the industry as development hell, where an artist is legally bound by a contract but creatively stifled by executives who fear their real sound isn't marketable enough. While fans waited for a rock and roll revolution, Courtney was reportedly navigating a maze of lawyers and A&R meetings that threatened to extinguish her passion. The question remained, was the industry trying to protect her career, or were they trying to colonize her talent until it fit a profitable mold? As the legal battle for her sound raged behind closed doors, a much more personal and dark conflict was unfolding back in her hometown. While the global audience wondered where her music was, Courtney was fighting a localized battle for her own well-being. Reports from her home community in County Durham indicated that the transition from local student to the most famous girl on earth was anything but smooth. She reportedly faced intense peer-to-peer conflict and social isolation, as her eclectic style and sudden success became a magnet for targeted harassment. The psychological toll of being a teenager under a global microscope, coupled with the pressure of being labeled the next Janis Joplin, created a volatile emotional environment. We have uncovered reports that the constant comparison to a tragic figure like Joplin wasn't just a compliment. It was a weight that Courtney struggled to carry. The shy girl from the audition was now a young woman trying to find where she fit in a world that only wanted her to be a caricature of a dead legend. This period of withdrawal was misinterpreted by many as a failure to launch, but our findings suggest it was a tactical retreat, a necessary period of silence for her to process the trauma of sudden fame and decide if she even wanted to be part of the industry that was trying to claim her. This period of isolation eventually led to a total dismantling of her old self, paving the way for a comeback that would shock even her most loyal supporters. Fast forward to our current timeline in 2026, and the Courtney Hadwin the world once knew has effectively been erased. In a move that music journalists are calling artistic arson, she has systematically burned down her old image to emerge as an independent force under the moniker Little Miss Jagged. Our analysis of her recent independent releases reveals a radical shift in sonic direction. The 60s soul covers are gone, replaced by a dark, industrial and avant-garde sound that feels more like a rebellion than a career move. She has traded the bell-bottoms and the Joplin hair for a gritty, high-fashion aesthetic that emphasizes her autonomy. By walking away from major label deals and the reality TV star label, she has successfully pivoted into the alternative scene, proving that she was never interested in being safe for the charts. This new era is defined by raw, unfiltered lyrics that address the scars left by her early career and the industry's attempt to control her. It is a risky, independent path that avoids the typical trajectory of a talent show winner, but it has earned her a new level of respect from critics who once dismissed her as a novelty act. She is no longer asking for a golden buzzer. She is asking for her own terms. But as she prepares for a new chapter, the shadow of her viral past still poses a final, critical threat to her future legacy. As we conclude this investigation, the case of Courtney Hadwin stands as a stark reminder of the complexities of the modern fame machine. She is a rare survivor of the viral cycle, a young woman who was nearly swallowed by the expectations of a global audience and the demands of a corporate empire. While she may never be the mainstream pop star the labels once envisioned, she has achieved something far more difficult. She has reclaimed her own narrative. The shy girl who once shook on the AGT stage has been replaced by a woman who is unafraid to be polarizing, abrasive, and authentically herself. Her story serves as a cautionary tale for the next generation of overnight successes, a reminder that a contract is not a career, and a viral moment is not a life. Whether her new, independent path leads to the top of the alternative charts or remains a niche pursuit, Courtney Hadwin has successfully navigated the Janis Joplin curse and emerged with her voice intact. Tonight, we see a performer who is no longer defined by the button pressed by a judge, but by the music she chooses to make. The investigation into her past is closed, but the story of her future is only just beginning. And as the world watches her next move, the question is no longer what happened to Courtney Hadwin, but rather, are we finally ready to hear what she actually has to say?